Are you a Power BI consultant who creates a lot of reports and would like to share it with external users? Are you working in a BI team or a finance team and you create some reports and you want to share these reports with your customers who are in a different tenant? If your answer to these questions is yes, then this video is for you. Hi, I'm Sohail Bakhshi, a Microsoft Data Platform MVP with a very warm welcome from biinsight.com. In today's video, I will show you how to share a report built in Power BI with external users. Before we begin, and to ensure that we are all on the same page, let's discuss some basic concepts. First of all, let's discuss the requirements. The requirements for report sharing with external users can be categorized into two generic categories. The first one is access requirements, which we talk about guest users, who are guest users, and how an external user becomes a guest user. The second one is about their permission. And the third one, if the underlying semantic model contains role-level security and object-level security, then role assignment is another access requirement. The second one is about licensing. For sharing the reports with others, we require at least Power BI Pro licensing or higher. On that, the guest users may have their own Power BI licenses, including Power BI Pro or PPU, or you may require to assign Power BI Pro licenses to your guest users if they do not already have the proper licensing plan. Now let's talk about terminologies and understand some terminologies here which are pretty important. The first one is the definition of an external user. When we talk about external user, we are actually talking about the individuals outside of our organization, such as partners, customers, or guests who require access to an app, a set of files, Power BI reports, so on and so forth. An external user's email address or account ID is different from ours. For example, we have our name @ our domain name, while they have their name @ their domain name. Now let's see what is a guest user. A guest user is someone from outside the organization, obviously an external user, who is invited to access specific resources like files or apps or reports in our environment. They do not belong to our organization, but we are giving them temporary or limited access, often using their email or account to collaborate securely. The guest accounts usually look like this: their name _ their domain name, hashtag EXT, which shows they are external to our organization, @ our domain name. Actually, in Microsoft Entra ID, there is a specific section for guest users. We will get to it later in this video. The next concept that I would like to quickly touch on is the concept of Microsoft Entra ID's business-to-business capability. This capability allows organizations to securely invite external users to collaborate using their own credentials. Remember, the external users will log in to our environment, to our tenant, using their own accounts and their own email addresses. This is pretty cool. The next one that I would like to discuss is about roles. Let's see who must do what, where, and how. The first one is Entra ID Global Administrators. An Entra ID Global Administrator can invite external users and manage them after they become a guest user. The second one is Fabric Administrators. The Fabric Administrators will configure Fabric Admin Portal settings to allow for external sharing. The third one is the Workspace Administrators, to grant access to workspaces or reports, depending on the scenario that we follow for sharing the reports with external users. Now let's discuss a little bit about the processes. The required steps to become a guest user is to invite the external user to our tenant. The external user should accept the invitation, and they also must agree to provide the required consents, and then they become a guest user in our tenant. Now let's discuss different scenarios for sharing Power BI reports with external users. The first one is when we require the guest users to access all the reports within that workspace. And the second one is when we do not want the guest users to access everything within a workspace, but we need them to access some specific reports within a workspace. With that, and without any further ado, let's get to the implementation part. Okay, here's a scenario. We have two different tenants. The dark blue tenant is different from the pink tenant that you can see on the right hand side. Here's the thing, we want to be able to share reports from tenant A with the users from tenant B. So now let's see how we should do that. Before we dig deeper into the settings, let's have a look at these people's Power BI licenses. On tenant A, I check on the account manager on the top right hand side. I click on the account manager and it shows me on top Power BI license. I can do the same on the other side, which is tenant B, and as you can see, Nestor also have a Power BI Pro license on his tenant. Nestor has Power BI Pro license, and the user on tenant A, this scenario, the user is administrator. He also has a Power BI Pro license. Before the administrator on tenant A goes ahead and share any content with Nestor from tenant B, he needs to go and check some points in his admin portal. So for now, let me just expand tenant A to be able to see things a little bit nicer and tidier. To access admin portal, you need to be an administrator to go through these steps, but for the sharing itself, you should not be an administrator. To get to our Power BI admin portal, we have to click on the gear button that you can see on top right, then click admin portal. As you can see, there is a lot of configurations and options here that can be a little bit daunting. Instead of looking for a setting here, we can actually search for settings. This is a pretty neat feature. I want to look for guest settings, right? So I start typing guest. So these are all the settings that relate to guest users. From all of these settings, the only one that we need to be able to share a report with external user in real world scenarios is the first one, which is guest users can access Microsoft Fabric. We expand that and we can enable it. By enabling this feature, we give these group of people or individuals the rights to access the items within our Microsoft Fabric environment. So let's go ahead and enable this. Now we have two options here. We are either enabling this to the entire organization or to a specific security group. Best practice is not to enable this for the entire organization. In real world scenarios, we do not want everybody to be able to access our Microsoft Fabric environment. So we usually create a security group and add the specific guest users that we want them to be able to access our Microsoft Fabric environment to that security group. For now, I will stick to the entire organization. So I go ahead and click apply for now. This setting may take up to 15 minutes to go through. Let's take a look at the other features. Users can invite guest users to collaborate through item sharing and permissions. We really do not need that, because if the guest user is already invited into our Entra ID and we have them in our Entra ID directory, then we don't really need this. So in real world scenarios, many organizations disable this feature. So I go ahead and disable that and apply it. And the next one is the guest users can browse and access Fabric content. We don't need that one either. The next one in the list is the users within our organization can see the guest users listed when they want to share the content with others in the drop-down list. Many organizations do not want everybody to be able to see these guest users, so I also go ahead and disable this. I just want to show you that actually the only setting that our Fabric administrators need to enable in Fabric admin portal is just the very first one, which is guest users can access Microsoft Fabric. So I go ahead and disable and everything else that relates to guest users. So B2B guest users can set up and subscribe to email subscriptions. I don't need that either, and so on and so forth. This one is already disabled, and allow specific users to turn on external data sharing. We just don't need that. I just go ahead and turn that off as well. With that, let's go to the next step. If you are a Fabric administrator, you will also have access to users in your M365 admin portal. So from here on the left pane, I click on the users tab and I click go to Microsoft 365 admin center. By clicking this, I will be navigated to M365 admin center. And from here, I expand the users tab and I have guest users. As you can see, I have 2 guest users here, but Nestor is not one of them. So I go ahead and invite Nestor. Let me move this window to the left-hand side. This is Nestor, and Nestor's account is this one. So I just double click on it and copy it to be able to just invite him to my environment. On the other side, click on the ellipse button, click add a guest user. This navigates me to my Microsoft Entra ID. I click on invite user. I add their name, Nestor Wilk, and their email address. I'll leave first name and last name empty. Click invite. Now on the other side, Nestor will receive an email with an invitation that he needs to approve. Nestor needs to go and check his email. Let me just expand that and I use my Outlook. Hopefully he has received the email. Nestor goes ahead and clicks accept invitation. You can expand every single one of these consents that you are accepting and read through it and whether accept or do not accept. In this case, Nestor would like to accept because he wants to get access to the report, right? So I go ahead and click accept. Here the things get a little bit more interesting. If multi-factor authentication is enabled on your tenant, Nestor now has to go ahead and add multi-factor authentication. So let's go through the process quickly. I'll just refresh this page. Okay. Now Nestor is added. So we now have Nestor as a guest user in our tenant. The next step is to actually go and share a report with Nestor. Let's go through it. To do that, I actually close this window because I do not need it anymore. I go to a workspace. And I've created a workspace to share with guests. We hover over the report and we either can click on the share button from here, or we can click on the more options ellipsis button and click manage permissions. From here, I go to direct access, click add user. I start typing Nestor W, and as you can see, Nestor's email address doesn't show up as a drop down to be able to select. And that is the setting that we disabled in Fabric Admin Portal previously. We didn't want Nestor's email address to show up as a drop down. I just need to type in the entire email address or just copy and paste the email address. From here, I have three options. I can allow the recipient to share this report with others. It is not what I want, so I just disable it. The other one is to allow recipients to build content with the data associated with this report. Again, that is not what I want, so I just take that off. Send an email notification to Nestor to let him know that this report is shared. I leave that option. I just go ahead and click grant access. On the other side, I would expect Nestor to receive another email with the report sharing notification. There we go. We have received the email on Nestor's account. So let's switch to Nestor's account, and this is Nestor's email. And as you can see, he has received another email. So let's just trust that. So let's go ahead and see what happens if Nestor clicks on the open this report. Nestor has to authenticate to our Entra ID tenant. Things get a little bit interesting here. As you can see, we are getting a message that, hey, it looks like you wanted to access a shared report. We've given you free trial of Power BI paid features for 60 days. Look, Nestor already has a Power BI Pro license. He doesn't need a free trial or anything else. So I click, got it. The report is running here. Please note that a PPU trial has been applied to Nestor, and Nestor just doesn't want it. I click on account picker on the top right, but you can cancel your free trials from here. Let's go ahead and click cancel and see what happens. You may want to read through these conditions, but I go ahead and click continue cancellation. And let's go ahead and refresh this page again to see if the report access is gone. Look, Microsoft tries one more time again here by saying your premium trial has been canceled or has expired, and so on and so forth. Look, we really don't need it. So go ahead and click close, and the report still works and you can access this report. One more thing that I want to mention here is that if you have sensitivity labels applied to a report that you are sharing with others, you have to be a little bit careful about that. On the top of the report, you will see the sensitivity label, and when you click on it, you can see the explanation of the sensitivity label. This specific sensitivity label is an interesting one because it is highly confidential, and it also comes with encryption. This report and the data of the report is encrypted. When you share a report with external users, while it still has a sensitivity label and encryption, the other party can still open it and use this report. But here's the thing, if they export the data to Office application and share it with others, something like PowerPoint, and share it with external users within their organization, like other users, the other users will not be able to see the content. But this specific user, which is Nestor, will be able to see the content because the content is encrypted, but we allowed Nestor to access this report. Let's go ahead and click the export button. I export it to PDF and current values is okay, so I click export. Now the file is exported. Let me open up the file. Look, it now asks Nestor to authenticate again, so he needs to sign in, otherwise he will not be able to see anything. Let me just go ahead and open up this file with my account, which is an another user and an external user is not authorized to see the data and see what happens. So I press Windows E shortcut. I love shortcuts. Let me go ahead and open up file in Firefox. It opens on another page. Let me just bring it down. And this is what you see. This file is protected by Purview information protection, and it has sensitivity labels, has encryption. The last part that I want to show you is on the first tenant that we shared a report with Nestor. Let's go ahead and make a very simple change, right? So I go to admin portal and I look for guest user again. And this time, instead of enabling this for the entire organization, I just select a specific security group and I just start typing in sg-guest, which is the guest users that I would like to be able to access my Fabric environment. I go ahead and click apply. At this stage, Nestor is not a member of this security group. Let's go to Nestor's account and see what happens when he accesses the report for the next time. And this is what happens. You will see this little birdie that looks at you with a funny face, and it says that hey, look, something has happened and you cannot access this report. Let's go back to the first tenant, to tenant A, and do one last more setting. I have to go back to my admin portal. I click users and I navigate to my M365 account, and from here I expand teams and groups, active teams and groups, and I have created a security group for the purpose of sharing content with guest users. This is a security group, and I go ahead and add Nestor as a member to this group. So I go ahead and I click add members, and from here I start typing Nestor. I select Nestor and click add. There you go. And on the other side, now Nestor must be able to access the report. Let's close this error window and I use the email again. I click open report and ta-da! So Nestor can access this report. So in this video, we have learned how to securely share a report with the guest users, how to invite the guest users, how to share a report with the guest users in a secure way. And I showed you the required configuration through the admin portal. One missing part from this video is setting up row level security and object level security. Just bear in mind, if the report that we are sharing with Nestor has row level security or object level security enabled on it, Nestor's account must be assigned to a role in Power BI service. I have explained how to do this in the previous video where I explained how to use shared semantic models, so I do not explain it again. So with that, I hope you've enjoyed this video and you have learned something new, and see you in the next one.